be prepared for that. So if I just reflect why I'm standing here, one of the reasons I'm here is because I met Chris from MCE Public Relations at an event in Chicago. So we met through a British Council event, and we kept in touch. And when he knew I was coming to Dublin for a conference, he said, why don't you come here and get involved with what Grant Thornton's doing? And I was delighted to accept the invitation, because I really love meeting new people, making new connections, and networking, really. So if I just start with how it all got started. When I was 17, I was still at school. I came up with an idea to set up a national body for school students. What I realised was that at school, the school students were the only people in the education system to not really have a voice. So parents, teachers, governors, heads, they all had a national body giving them a voice on secondary education. But the school students were never really asked what they felt about the education system. And funny enough, I actually learned of an organisation called the Union of Secondary Students in Ireland that actually inspired me to set up something similar in England. I learned of the fact that most countries in Europe had national bodies for school students, and that England was one of the few, and UK in fact, one of the few places not to have one. So I had this idea. I was still 17, I was doing my A-levels at the time, and I started talking to people about this concept. And I was actually told to speak to an organisation called Unlimited, that's UNLTD, and they are the Foundation for Social Entrepreneurs. So I said to them, I had no track record in enterprise, and no track record in anything, and I just said, I want to set up an organisation that works to give school students a voice in their education. They said, great, you're probably our youngest grantee, potential grantee, but here's a £5,000 grant, go off and make something happen. And that was the first step, which kind of made me feel, wow, someone else actually believes in me and my idea. They're willing to give me £5,000 to try something out. Subsequently, I was introduced to another organisation, the Phoenix Education Trust, and they really bought into the idea. And what really helped me was a connection that I made. I met someone, I was just saying, this is an idea I have. She then, by the by, decided to tell the Times Education Supplement, which is one of the largest papers for the education space, who decided to write a huge article on page 3 with the headline, Student Union Vows Not to Walk Out. And this is, by the way, this is literally just me with an idea. There's no union, there's no organisation, there's nothing, just me and an idea. But that really shows you how one connection can lead to something, a kind of a chain reaction, because subsequently, it's a funny photo. There's me sitting on my bed with my A-level maths revision kind of notes posted on the wall, and with this kind of evocative kind of headline. And subsequently, it was funny because I started getting letters from the Minister of School Standards, Stephen Twigg. I got letters from the teaching unions, from the National Union of Teachers, the Association of Teachers and Lecturers. They were saying, this is a great idea, we want to support you. And then this is me going from being still at school to then being invited to go and speak about this concept at the party conferences. So I spoke at Labour Party fringe things, Conservative Party fringe things, and the teaching unions started inviting me to speak at things. And it just really showed how one simple thing, and this was a press report, kind of really helped catapult this idea to an extent where today the organisation, I set up a website called studentvoice.co.uk. We now have 5 full-time members of staff. We've worked with over 10,000 students. We've run competitions with Channel 4. We've helped loads of really kind of students who have been disengaged from the education system re-engage with education, giving them communication skills, leadership skills. And so I've taken that simple idea, with the help of a few people I've met along the way, to an organisation that's employing people and doing some great work. So that was when I was still at school, and then I went straight into university. So I did economics and management at Oxford. I didn't take a gap year, so the organisation, the school student organisation, was still running. I joined university, and I seemed to spend all my time either studying for my degree or working on my charity. And I realised that actually I was missing out on something pretty major, which was kind of social life and also engaging with people on campus. And I quickly found an organisation called Oxford Entrepreneurs, which is the Society for Student Entrepreneurs at Oxford. And it was fortunate because at the time they were recruiting for a committee member, and the job description was for an external relations officer. And this is probably the best job description you come across, because it said your role is to schmooze with people, to wine and dine speakers, sponsors, and literally be the external face of the organisation. So I thought this was the perfect opportunity for me. I went for the role, subsequently got onto the committee, and that really was a huge platform for me to develop my own network and also learn a lot about business and entrepreneurship, because as a society, we're the largest of our kind in Europe. We have over 7,000 members. I subsequently became the president, so I took a year off of my degree during the second and third year to run it full time. And it really gave me access to some really high-level entrepreneurs that we would invite to speak. So we had people like all the dragons of Dragon's Den. We had Stelios, Dyson, Lord Sugar, the late Damien Roddick. We've had really kind of the who's who of entrepreneurship come and speak at the society. And what was really important there was running the society made me realise running the society is kind of like running your own business. So at one point we had a committee around 14 people who I used to manage full time. I had a budget of £100,000 of sponsorship that I'd raised to run our activities. All of our activities were free to members, and there was no barrier to entry for students. And it was really like, that gave me an experience of running a team, which was kind of like an HR role, marketing, putting on events, which was our product. And subsequently, as I said, it really gave me that access to high-profile people. And I say this when I go give talks to students who are still at university, I say, your time at university is really short. With how competitive the job market is, you're not literally going to leave with your degree and then walk into a graduate job anymore. You're really going to have to show what value have you added whilst you're at university, where have you taken initiative, where have you done something to really stand out. And I was fortunate enough to be able to do that through my time at Oxford Entrepreneurs. And that actually gave me an inspiration to set up my current venture, which is internships.com. Because I was being approached by startups and SMEs who wanted access to our members. And what they were saying is, look, Raj, we want entrepreneurial students, but we don't have a brand of Grant Thornton or Goldman Sachs. We don't have that kind of big corporate brand. Can you advertise our job roles for us? So I set up a really basic listing site and decided to call it internships. Because we're all familiar with internships and the corporate internships, but I thought this is going to be different. This is going to be about entrepreneurial work placements in startups and small businesses. And it really kind of started taking off from there, because just by word of mouth, a few hundred companies found the site, listed opportunities on there, and I really was able to use the contacts that I've made during my presidency of Entrepreneurs to help endorse internships. So, for example, Peter Jones from Dragon's Den, he took on 4 interns. We've had Lily Allen, who's taken on 4 for her new fashion startup. We've had some amazing opportunities with these kind of celebrity entrepreneurs. And I think when you're starting up a new business, it's really important to have that kind of high-level support, and it gives you that credibility to basically stand out from the crowd. And if we also think about some of the media coverage that we received, a lot of it was due to the contacts I'd made whilst the president of Oxford Entrepreneurs. So the first major national paper to launch us, so to speak, and actually officially endorse us was the Daily Telegraph. And Richard Tyler, the business editor of the Daily Telegraph, has become a personal friend. But I got to know him whilst I was still at university, and he's tracked the development of internships and said, when you go to launch officially, I want to be the first person to kind of officially write about it. And so it became clear to me that you have to develop your network very early on, and it's really important to kind of keep your network fresh and active. So in terms of what I've learned and the kind of tips, I don't want to keep you too long because we're all about networking. The few things I would say is take every opportunity to kind of meet people, but it's not just about amassing huge numbers of business cards. It's kind of what you do with that afterwards, which is what matters. So just what I do is I jot down a few lines at the back of the business card saying where I met them and what we kind of generally discussed. Make sure you follow up with that person afterwards, because ultimately, as I said, there's no value just having it there. But the most value I get is by making relevant introductions within my network. Because what happens is you then become a magnet of opportunity. Opportunities will generally come to you, and people know that you will then filter it and then pass it on to other people of interest. And generally, you should do this without any selfish motive in mind, because it pays its dividends in the future. It may not be, you may not